Welcome to episode 1 of Run, Jump, Stomp. Today is February 17th, 2015. I'm Bill, and this week we're going to take a look at the new Nintendo 3DS XL, which I've had for about a week. Let's start with the name. Nintendo's marketing department has been on a roll for the past few years. They really hit it out of the park with the Wii. When it came out, everyone laughed at it, but soon after, people stopped chuckling, and it became the iconic, friendly family console that everyone loved for a while. They also left behind the 900-pound gorilla of a name Game Boy in favor of the DS. Most agree that it was probably because they didn't want their system to be associated only with kids, but the name Game Boy was a brand of its own, and a very well-respected brand. Nintendo wasn't even sure about this move, so they told everyone at E3 that the Game Boy wasn't going anywhere, even though it promptly disappeared after the DS had finally caught on. When the Big N decided to bring back a side-scrolling Super Mario game, they called it New Super Mario Bros. It was kind of weird, but okay, it is a new game, and we'll see what you guys do with it. Then the Wii U came out. I'm honestly surprised they didn't call it the new Wii. This system caused so much confusion for the average consumer that many still don't even understand that it's a new console. And finally, we've got the new 3DS XL, or NN3DSXL. What a horrible, horrible name. What are they going to call the next one? The new 3DXLi? If you look back, Nintendo, all the way back to 1991, you had the perfect name for the next 3DS. You should have called it the Super 3DS. Horrible naming aside, let's take a look at another major problem with this system. And that problem is availability. Nintendo of America just can't seem to win. They can't keep amiibos in stock, which angers their most devout fans. They decide only to bring the XL version of the system to the States, which is fine with me. That's the one I want, but many people wanted the smaller system. The excuse that they gave is that it's too confusing is just downright stupid. People wouldn't be confused with this if the system had a reasonable name. Then they make the horrible decision to put out a new handheld and have the pre-sale happen in the middle of a day on a weekday. People with jobs just can't up and leave in the middle of the day to go buy the new system, so scalpers have a field day with it. More angry superfans. Put that together with the horribly botched limited edition Best Buy ordeal, and they have a PR nightmare on their hands. Honestly, Nintendo, just make nice with Amazon and have them sell your stuff for you. They're good at it. The brick and mortar stores can't be trusted, and while you're at it, stop with the retailer exclusives. Customers don't like it. When you first open the tiny box for the new Nintendo 3DS, the first thing you notice is the finish of the new system looks great. There's an almost imperceptible diagonal pattern on the red version. That's the version I have. I'm not sure if it's on the black version or not, but I think I read that it is. You really have to look to see the pattern, but it is there and it looks really nice, right up until the point that you touch the system. When Nintendo brought out the 3DS, it came in a glossy. I had the glossy blue one. It looked great, but it was a fingerprint magnet. When the 3DS XL came out, Nintendo looked at that and changed the issue. I'm sorry, they didn't change the issue. They looked at that issue and made a change with the XL. They made it a matte finish, so it didn't show off the hand grease as much. There was much rejoicing. With the new 3DS XL, that name, Nintendo's gone back to the high gloss finish, and along with it, the profit margins of decal makers. This is a small issue, but it's worth mentioning. Moving on to the interior. The first thing that I noticed when opening up the system was the stopping points for the screen. On a 3DS XL, when you open it up, it stops and clicks at a certain point. Then you can push it a little, and it'll go to the next resting spot for the screen, and then you can push it once more, and it'll be completely flat. That audible click at those stopping points is now gone on the new one. It feels like it's far better construction and the screen doesn't wobble. For me, this is a huge improvement over the last XL because the screen used to wobble really bad when I was playing and it drove me crazy. Moving down from the hinge, I never really thought that the buttons of the 3DS or the XL needed much improvement, but they have improved on them quite a bit. First, let's take a look at the aesthetic changes. The new buttons of the new XL, there's too many news in there, have colored writing on them. It's a small change to be sure, but it's a welcome one. The smaller new 3DS also has full color buttons that look like the old Famicom or Super Nintendo, and the interchangeable faceplates, which is a feature a lot of people think look great. In fact, more than a few people that I've spoken to have said that they would love a new 3DS but won't buy one here in the States because they're waiting for those features, which I'm sure are coming down the road so Nintendo can sell yet another system to collectors. Complaints about the looks aside, the new system's buttons are more responsive and clickier, if that's a word, than the previous system. I thought the older system's buttons were really good, but going back using them, they feel a little mushy. Their new ones are much more responsive. After the buttons, the next thing to look at is the C-Stick, which looks like a new button. For years, fans have been asking Nintendo to add a second analog control to their handheld system, and for years, they've been ignored. Finally, they almost listened. Notice that listened is in quotes here because we didn't get what we actually wanted. Instead, it seems like another half measure from Nintendo. I've used the C-Stick in Smash as well as Monster Hunter. It's fantastic for camera control, but it is going to take some getting used to in Smash for me. I still kind of prefer the directions in A and B rather than using the C-Stick. It doesn't move. There's absolutely no feedback at all, so you're not sure if you're pushing it or not. But it does respond, and it responds well when you're using it for camera control. It's still not as good as a second circle pad would have been, but Nintendo's a conservative company and they tend to take baby steps. It looks like they're taking baby steps in the right direction in this case. Looking at the displays, the screens are supposed to be the same as the previous gen model, but looking at them, I get the feeling that they're slightly better. They seem a bit easier to see in bright sunlight, and the colors seem to be a bit richer. This could just be a trick for my eye, though, or the grass is greener kind of thing. The 3D, however, is absolutely amazing. This is how the system should have started. But by putting out incremental improvements over time, Nintendo has of course sold me 3 3DS systems instead of just one. I've bought the 3DS, the XL, and now the new 3DS XL. The super stable 3D, however, breathes life into every game I've played on it. For the most part, I left 3D off on the older systems, for 2 reasons. It prolonged the battery to leave it in 2D mode, so the system would last a lot longer. But also, pretty much every game that I played, the 3D would fall apart really, really easily, especially when it needed to be stable. Now, with the super stable 3D, I leave it on all the time, and I get to play these games the way that they were supposed to be played. Although I do turn it off for Pokemon Omega Ruby, as I tend to get slowdown when I use 3D, which surprises me because the system is supposed to have more power. The new system has a pretty big improvement in horsepower over the last. I haven't really seen the benefit of more power. Apparently there's better textures in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. That game looks really great on the new system, but I haven't played it on the old system, so I'm not sure. Right now, there's no software to push it. I'm definitely looking forward to games that push the hardware, but the question I'm asking myself is, will this power ever get used? It kind of reminds me of the Kinect. Are developers intentionally going to sell to a smaller market segment just to have better graphics or other features that this extra power could bring? Another question I have is, how hard is it to develop for both the new 3DS and the old one? I think that I worry that the new power will be largely ignored as the Kinect was with the Xbox, because developers don't want to sell to a small segment of a large market. Next, let's talk about storage. 4 gigabytes is way too low. This system comes with a 4 gigabyte micro SD card. Now, recently, it seems as if Nintendo has put a focus on digital distribution, going around the brick-and-mortar stores. They had a very awesome Wii U Deluxe digital promotion, which sadly ended as I was able to get a lot of free games through that. They also started combining our accounts across 3DS and Wii U. Now, that should have happened long ago, but I'm glad that it's happening now. And with the demise of Club Nintendo, it seems like Nintendo's moving towards a single account system like everyone else uses. They also have begun the tiniest baby steps of cross-buy with the new Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. It still feels like a half measure, because when you buy one for the 3DS, they give you a code to download it on the Wii U rather than just add it to your account. But it's a step in the right direction, and like I said before, Nintendo's a conservative company. They always take their time when they do things. Back to the point of 4 gigabytes being so low. You pretty much have to buy a micro SD card for this system if you're going to use it on the eShop at all. Putting this in requires not only a specific screwdriver, because it's not externally accessible, but some intestinal fortitude as well. Taking the back cover off of your new Nintendo 3DS results in a terrifying crack sound. There isn't any damage other than the years off your life when you're nervous about taking a brand new $200 system and you think you may have damaged it when you take that back cover off. There really could have been more attention paid to how customers get the micro SD card into the machine. Granted, you're not going to be doing this often. You'll probably only ever do it once in the console's life cycle. But had they just added larger storage, nobody would have to do it. My absolute last gripe is the lack of a power supply. In other countries, this is the norm. I don't understand this. You're selling me a device that requires that the battery be charged, but it doesn't come with a charger. I can see how this would be mildly acceptable if Nintendo used a standard cable like micro USB, but they're using a proprietary cable, and use of any other cable voids your warranty. So just suck it up, Nintendo. Put the cord in the box. This is annoying, but on the other hand, the cord that you can buy directly from Nintendo is pretty cheap. I think it's about $12, so that's not too bad. Well, if you've stuck with me this far, you're probably expecting that I don't like the system. This could not be farther from the truth. All the complaints that I listed are nitpicking. This system is fantastic, and I'm loving every minute I spend with it. If you have a 3DS, I highly recommend an upgrade. If you have an XL and you can swing it, pick one of these up. If money's tight, I say wait and see if more software comes out that's exclusive to the new system. Right now, it's only Xenoblade Chronicles that's exclusive, and that isn't coming out until April. If you don't have a 3DS at all, they just dropped the price of the old one to clear out inventory, do not buy an older one. The new one's 3D is worth the extra money. Definitely buy a 3DS, as the library of games is deep, and some of the best games I've ever played have been on the system. Well, that's my review of the new Nintendo 3DS XL. Want to be part of the show? Send an email to runjumpstomp@gmail.com. Let me know what you think, what topics you'd like to hear about, and let me know that you're out there. Background music is Baru by Mr. Rogers and can be found at the link provided in the show notes. Thanks for listening to Run, Jump, Stomp.